This is Democracy Watch. Mark, we have a major development in a crucial swing state where Trump just suffered a major loss in court. What just happened here?
Yeah, so big ruling out of Nevada. Donald Trump and the Republican Party have been trying to block mail-in voting every possible way they can. And in Nevada, that took the form of two lawsuits against the state of Nevada, both dealing with the question of whether mail-in ballots that are received a day or so after the election day, but were clearly mailed before election day, whether those ballots should count. And they just suffered a stinging, complete defeat in Carson City before a state judge.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we just see a similar, almost identical lawsuit get swatted down in Mississippi?
We did. And, this is why Republicans are lying to the public, and so much of the media is lapping it up. They are saying, no, we love vote by mail. We have a website saying, please, Republicans, vote by mail. I'm telling you.
Well, if they have a website, then it must be true.
Right. I'm telling you, don't listen to what they put in their press release. Watch what their lawyers say in court. And yes, they just lost a massive lawsuit in Mississippi, which you and I talked about as a prelude for them bringing that case to the Fifth Circuit to try to get a broad ruling to disqualify lots of mail-in ballots across the country. And here is an update. Ready? They appealed before the Fifth Circuit. So that Mississippi case, just as you and I talked about, just as you and I predicted, that case is now going to go up to the Fifth Circuit. And in the meantime, they are furiously trying to get other courts to try to adopt this rule because they desperately want to disqualify these mail ballots before we get to Election Day. I've written about this on Democracy Docket. You and I have talked about this extensively. This is one of the big issues that everyone needs to pay attention to between now and Election Day.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but is what they're trying to do basically to bring it up in different court systems across the country so that, for example, if the Fifth Circuit rules in their favor and then I'm not sure what circuit Nevada is in, but the Ninth Circuit doesn't rule in their favor, then you have a circuit split and then it's up to the Supreme Court to resolve that split between the two circuit courts. And so this is kind of a way that they're using to game the system to get it up to the Supreme Court, knowing that they would be the final adjudicator on this issue.
Man, between talking to me and talking to Glenn, you practically have a law degree. That's exactly right. The way in which you get a case to the Supreme Court is you either have a very interesting federal question, which they would say they do, or you have a circuit split, right? Because you say, look, it can't be that the law is A in this part of America and not A in that part of America. Supreme Court, you need to resolve this. So what are they doing? They are setting that up, right? They are creating through their litigation they're trying to create different rules in different parts of the country as another reason why the U.S. Supreme Court should take this issue up and take it up quickly. And the one thing you and I have learned over the course of the last year is, unfortunately, this Supreme Court seems to be willing to use the timing of its docket in ways that affect the outcome of results.
Right. Well, for this specific case in particular, I know people are going to be watching and saying, why should I care? So how big of an effect would this ruling being in Republicans' favor have had on the election?
If they got this nationwide, you would be talking about hundreds of thousands of votes being thrown out. I mean, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of votes that were counted being thrown out. This is not a small swing. When you look at the delays in mail service due to DeJoy and cutbacks and other things, and therefore how long the mail takes. And when you look at states where Republicans have managed to ban or severely limit drop boxes, when you look at states that have cut back on how early they will send you a mail-in ballot, right, which is a voter suppression technique we don't talk a lot about, but where they delay sending the mail-in ballot, all of those things are causing a rush of mail-in ballots towards the end of elections. And what they are trying to do is to stop counting ballots, which is one of Donald Trump's, things going back to 2020, and they want these ballots discarded. And what we know about these ballots is that they are disproportionately cast by young voters, first-time voters, and minority voters. So it is not just that they will affect hundreds of thousands of votes nationwide, but when you look at whose votes those are, they are overwhelmingly Democratic constituencies.
All of which, by the way, underscores the importance of the work that you and your firm are doing, because you litigated this case and you are the reason why the Trump team has lost, not just here in Nevada, the one we're talking about now, but also in Mississippi. So for those who are watching right now who are looking to support the invaluable work that Marc and his team are doing, please make sure to sign up for Democracy Docket, a very small step to show our appreciation for the work that he does. It's also an amazing resource. So I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description. Marc, Trump's campaign also suffered another big loss in Nevada a few weeks ago, which, by the way, your firm also litigated, where a judge rejected their attempt to toss even more mail-in ballots. Why do Republicans keep filing legal challenges against mail-in voting if they just keep losing?
So I think two reasons. The first is because Donald Trump demands fealty to his lies. And so he told a lie in 2020 that I bet not a single operative in the Republican Party wanted him to tell. Right? Susie Weil, who is one of the co-campaign managers of the Trump campaign, built her career by getting Republicans in Florida to vote by mail. That is literally was part of her secret to turning Florida Republican. Chris LaCivita, the other chair of the other campaign manager, cut his teeth in Colorado and Virginia, both states where Republicans made huge strides in vote by mail. But Donald Trump came out in 2020 and told this lie about vote by mail. And there is no dissent in Trump allowed in the Trump world. So right. He is insisting that the Republican Party and his campaign continue to reinforce his lie about voting by mail, that somehow it's leading to fraud, and that they are instructed to bring litigation. So that's number one. Number two, Donald Trump feeds off of grievance. He feeds off of losing. Donald Trump, when he loses these lawsuits, it furthers his ability to go forward and say, you see, the system is rigged against me. You see, these judges are all in cahoots, even though a lot of these judges are Republicans. You know, the judge in Carson City who ruled in this case is not a Democrat. So, you know, and we say this over and over again, that the judge in Mississippi, very much a Republican appointee. But he turns this into a narrative of how the judiciary is against him, and it feeds this conspiratorial grievance mentality.
How many lawsuits have we seen from the Trump campaign so far this year? How many of those lawsuits have been decided, and how many are still pending?
So the RNC has filed a bunch of lawsuits, but more recently, Donald Trump's campaign has been joining them. And I'm happy to report that so far he has filed 3. He has lost 2, both in Nevada. And Brian, the one that is pending is where he and the RNC are trying to say that veterans cannot register to vote at the VA. So if you want to know what Donald Trump is spending your campaign money on, when he's not paying his daughter-in-law at the RNC, when he's not paying his legal bills through whatever PACs he's got, you know, they're spending the money that you're donating, fighting losing fights and trying to disenfranchise veterans.
Because something party of the military. Marc, do you expect Trump to be a participant in filing any other lawsuits before the election that we should look out for?
Absolutely. I think that this is now his gambit. I think that they have made a decision. The most recent lawsuits that the RNC has filed, they have filed with with Donald Trump, which means Donald Trump wants his name associated with preventing mail-in voting, preventing veterans from registering at the VA. Think about that as a messaging device. This is where he wants his name on documents saying this. So I expect we are going to see his name on all manner of voter suppression cases. And I think he's doing it for 2 reasons. I think number one, the lawyers doing this, they're pleasing the boss. You know, he wants to see that they are fighting against voting, and they're doing it. The second is to a theme that you and I have talked across issues. Donald Trump is sending a subtle message. Donald Trump is sending a subtle message to these states. If he wins, watch out. Why do you think he is suing? Why do you think his name's on a lawsuit saying, hey, VA, you shouldn't be registering veterans to vote? Because Project 2025 is why. Because he's sending a message. Hey, those of you who set this up with Michigan to allow voter registration, it's me, Donald Trump, who wants that stopped. And, you know, when you read that in conjunction with what he has promised that he would do, being dictator for a day, Whatever he says about Project 2025, don't believe. He wants to take over the federal government. I think that's the other reason why. I think this is a not so subtle way of sending a message to people about what will happen if he wins.
Well, it seems like a good place to leave off. Again, for those watching right now, to support the very important work that Marc and his team are doing in the courts, which is ground zero in this fight for democracy right now, please make sure to sign up for Democracy Docket. I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
I'm Marc Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.